With 18 days till the election, we're seeing unprecedented levels of early voting. In North Carolina, 330,000 people turned out on the first day of early voting, yesterday believed to be a new record. And Georgia is reporting more than 1 million voters have already cast their ballots. What does it all mean for the vote count? Joining me now is David Wasserman, House editor of the Cook Political Report, who took a deep look also at Sumter County, Florida, and why it may be an important clue to following the results on election night. Hey, David, it's great to see you again. With all this early voting, what should we take from it? I remember being with Hillary Clinton in 2016 in Florida, and aides were saying, look at all the people lined up to vote. And it turned out they were just cannibalizing the vote that would otherwise have come on Election Day.
Well, it's true that we're both seeing historic early voting, and it's a drop in the bucket because we're headed for likely 150 million to 160 million votes cast this year, which would be record shattering. And what we know from the polling is that Democrats are overwhelmingly planning on voting by mail and in person early, and Republicans are following the marching orders of the president and likely to vote on Election Day. And it's hard to quantify the impact of that, really. That in and of itself isn't evidence that Biden is going to win the election. But what we may see on Election Day is disproportionately long lines to vote in Republican precincts because Democrats have front-loaded and banked so many early votes, whereas Republicans are really holding out for November 3rd.
And Trump is in Florida today courting senior voters. You're keeping an eye on Sumter County, dominated by senior voters at the Villages. It could be so-called the Gray Revolt. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, so, it's going to be difficult this election night to figure out what's going on in a lot of states because a lot of the upper Midwestern states are going to need probably days or perhaps even weeks to be able to count all of those mail-in ballots that lean D. But one thing I'll be watching early on election night is Florida. And in Florida, counties are permitted to begin counting ballots 22 days before Election Day. And I'll be watching Sumter County, which is where the bulk of the Villages is, the largest retirement community in Florida. The median age there is 68.9 years old. And the Trump campaign has placed so much importance on the Villages that Pence visited last weekend. Trump is holding a rally tonight in Ocala, which is right next door. And Democrats took delight in these images last weekend of a flotilla of 500 golf carts with Biden flags that were on their way to drop off mail-in ballots. And so that's anecdotal. But what we know from the polls is that Biden has really made inroads with white seniors, particularly in the last couple of weeks. He's ahead on average among seniors 53 to 44%. Compare that to the final polls in 2016, which had Trump up among seniors 49 to 44 over Clinton. And so if there is this gray revolt, it should be apparent early on election night, because keep in mind, Sumter in 2016, 84% of the vote there was cast early, and they reported their entire batch of early votes pretty shortly after the polls closed. We could know by 7:15 p.m. whether Trump has a massive problem with seniors. And if he can't win Florida, then he can't win a second term.
It's that simple. Florida is that important. You've also taken a look at the numbers that may be a silver lining for him because Republicans are outpacing Democrats hugely in voter registration in key states. This is just since the end of the primary season, so we're talking about March, which was more hotly contested on the Democratic side than the Republican side. So is it that much of a tell?
Well, it is a silver lining for Republicans that they have out-hustled Democrats. Keep in mind that registrations overall are way down from where they were in 2016, but they're disproportionately down among Democrats because they're not the ones who have been door knocking. Republicans and the Trump campaign have continued to knock on doors, while the Biden campaign during the pandemic has really gone to virtual outreach and phone calls, which aren't as effective in registering voters. We're also seeing a big downturn in college campus registrations. It's simply been harder to hold those kinds of registration drives when campuses are not at full strength. Now, overall, this is a drop in the bucket when you consider that over 30 million voters in those states are going to be casting ballots. And if you ask me whether I'd prefer to be the candidate with a recent registration advantage or the candidate who's ahead 7 to 8 points in key swing states in polls, of course, I'd rather be the candidate who's up 7 or 8.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.